Hey guys, so since I got really positive feedback when I did that other life lesson video that I did not that long ago, and said that you'd actually like to see more of that type of content, I can't promise this is going to be a normal feature. I even said it responding over there that, it's not that often that I necessarily feel inspired to have something like this, but when I do, I don't mind making these, because way back in the day, in my blogging days, I did used to just, through my own life experiences and things I'd learned, I would make entire posts out of that. I may or may not have shared what exactly my situation was that led me to that point of learning said lesson. Sometimes I would, sometimes I wouldn't. But the important takeaway at the end of the day was the lesson and what you can take away from said lesson to apply to your own life. So, this is kind of like that. And again, I don't know when, if there'll be more of these, but if I feel inspired to make them, I will. So, if you don't like that, if they're too preachy for you, then, keep walking. No, you're not missing anything. But for those who'd like it, here's another one. Here's another one for you. And I will preface this saying that the first part I cannot take credit for as having been my own thought, but in taking that thought, I am also building upon that and taking it a step further. So, we all know, like, the basic rule of the internet of don't feed the trolls. Yeah, we've all heard that. Some of us abide by it, some of us don't, but some of us try to, some of us get sucked into it, whatever. But Ricky Gervais had a quote that he said years ago about how reading through Twitter trolls is kind of like reading every bathroom stall wall all at once. And I feel that's kind of applicable. But he also said where, these people spouting off these crazy things online, be they about you or just in general, just trolling, imagine them living in a trash can. They're covered in shit. They may or may not be throwing shit at you as they shout their hateful things. But if you saw that in real life, would you stop and take it personally? Fuck no. You would keep walking. You would keep walking. So why is it different when it's online? Block them, they're gone. Ignore them, because by giving them any time of day, you are making their day. So just don't. Just don't. So okay, that's all very true, and I agree with all of that 100%. But here is what I would like to build on top of that, to take it a step further as a teachable moment. So, sure, the trolls are in the trash can and hurling their garbage at you. But the minute that you join in on trolling, you are getting in that trash can with them. Stop and think about that for a moment. Because in the moment, you may not even necessarily realize you're doing it. It feels good in the moment, right? It feels great in the moment. But eventually you hit a point where you have to stop and look at yourself and go, what the fuck am I doing? You are in a garbage can, covered in garbage. You've essentially rubbed it all over yourself for fun. What are you doing? It's easy for somebody else to say that. It's perfectly clear to anyone on the outside looking in that this is insanity. But when you're in the moment doing it, it feels justified. It feels like any number of things. It can be a revenge thing. It could be a for kicks thing. Any number of reasons why you're doing it. It makes sense in the moment. But when you take a step back from it and then look at your own actions, you have that moment of clarity and realization and self-actualization of, why the fuck am I in a trash can? Why am I covered in garbage right now? Why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? And then you can do one of two things. You can either stay in there and keep doing what you're doing and just deal with the ramifications of pretty much everybody walking by, taking a look at that, judging, and keeping going. Or you can get the fuck out of the trash can. It's as simple as that. You get out of the trash can. Now, that said, Sure, it is easy to get out of the trash can and to stop doing the thing you were doing. But the stench of the garbage that is all over you is not going to just instantly leave. Oh no. No, 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 no. That does not wash out in the wash. Mm-mm. That is going to cling to you for a long time, despite all the good you are now trying to do. No matter how hard you scrub at it to get it off of you, it's gonna linger. It's gonna linger for a while. It's gonna stick in your hair. It's gonna be stuck in your clothes. People know what you did. They know that just yesterday you were the person in the garbage can who was hurling shit at them. They haven't forgotten that. They're not going to forget that for a while, and they might never forget that. Now, you might be able to eventually, over time, prove yourself and reform, and prove that I'm not doing that anymore, and I don't quite know why I did that then, but shit, I'm trying to be a better person now. And they may or may not forgive you and, let you carry on with your life as a better person, or they might be like, yeah, no, like, buddy, you stay over there, because you were that garbage person. And, both of those are valid responses to that, and you will encounter both if you engaged in that. Now, most of us at some point in our life have engaged in that, some of us more than others. Some of us more recently than others. But, it is a learning experience of trying to be a better person and do better. But when you have that visual, when you have that parallel you can draw between of doing this, being equated with that, I think it makes it easier to make the active choice to not partake in that. I mean, it's all very easy to view it as a joke when you're just viewing it as a joke. But when you stop and think about it like that, do you really want to do that? Do you really want to be the person in the garbage can? You probably don't. I can't say nobody. I'm sure there's people out there who are quite happy living in the garbage can, but I don't think most of us want to do that. But they do call it fighting dirty for a reason. Because all of that dirt and grime, it clings to you long after it's over. And again, you can scrub and scrub and scrub, and eventually, it's kind of like being sprayed by a skunk. It's gonna linger for a long time, no matter how much you scrub at it, no matter how much you try to neutralize it. It's gonna be there to some degree. It might not be as strong, but it's still gonna linger. We all know what happened there. We all know what that stink is. We all know. So, at that point, all you can do is just make a concerted effort. You're not going back in the garbage can. You are going to stay on the straight and narrow and just, be a normal person. So, eventually it'll fade. And then the chips will fall where they'll fall of either people will just write you off as, well, I saw you in the garbage can before and I don't want to associate with that. Or they can respect a reformed person. The choice is yours. The choice is yours every single day when you wake up and you make an active choice one way or the other. You are actively choosing this every day. It's kind of like addiction. It's kind of like with drinking or drug addictions, where every day is a day where you actively make a choice for sobriety or that you're going to use. And that choice is up to no one but yourself. But it is what it is. So, at the end of the day, the buck stops with you. So, think about it all. Let it simmer in your brain. You don't have to do anything with that info if you don't want to, but it is something worth thinking about, because I think it's one of those things, especially when you're behind a computer screen, it's all too easy to get wrapped up in the anonymity of it, to be a keyboard warrior. It's all too easy at that point to feel all big and bad, but when you think about the real world repercussions of that, when you think about if this were in real life, which in a way it is, but picturing this happening face to face in that kind of a way, I think it evokes a much more visceral response and makes you think about it a lot more deeply about what you've done and whether or not you want to continue engaging in doing that. You know? Anyway, that's all I got.